One of the most highly discussed Texas Tech men's basketball portal targets is no more, as Ben Henshall has decided to stay in Australia and play at least 2 more years down under. In today's video, we'll discuss what that means for Texas Tech and why Texas Tech is not done adding to their 2025-2026 roster. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Red and Black Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in to today's video. It's a basketball video. I know football season just started up, but we've got to get you the latest when it comes to Texas Tech men's basketball as Grant McCasland and crew continue to build this program in the correct direction and hopefully make the Final Four next year in Indianapolis. Now, we've talked about both of the names that we will discuss here on today's video ad nauseum here on the channel, but it's basically at a point now where we have finality for one of these guys, and really we're coming to the point where there should be finality for the other. But let's go ahead and start with the one that we do know where he will be playing next year, and unfortunately it will not be out in Lubbock. It will be down in Perth, as Ben Henshall, a guy that was heavily linked to Texas Tech in his recruitment process, has indeed decided to stay down under. The hometown kid is back per the Perth Wildcats of the NBL down there in Australia. He has signed a 2-year deal, and there is a ton to discuss on this front because as I was told, and as multiple people at the Red and Black Report were told in terms of, well, we've got some good people here at the Red and Black Report in the sense of Austin Massey over at the Scarlet and Black Insider, Jacob Harris over at the Scarlet and Black Insider, and we've also got some people that on a national level keep us up to date when it comes to Texas Tech men's basketball and their recruiting process. This came down to grades, it sounds like. There was some rumors out there that this was grade related. I have it from people, what people have told me, this was grade related. Now, was it from a Texas Tech standpoint? I'm not sure. Was it from an NCAA standpoint? I'm not sure. If I had to guess from the intel that people are telling me, it sounds like it's more on the NCAA front, in the sense of Texas Tech was trying heavily to make sure that the grades would work for him to get into Texas Tech University. Unfortunately, it did not, and now he will stay over in the NBL and play for his hometown team in the Perth Wildcats. Now, for a Texas Tech standpoint, he would have been a guy that came in and probably was a starter for the Red Raiders and added a layer of depth that Texas Tech desperately needed in the backcourt. That is no longer. Now the Red Raiders must pivot, and we'll get to that pivot here in just a second. But when it comes to this whole saga, it's a really good thing to see here in the sense of, I think a lot of people think, okay, since it's an international player, it's probably pretty seamless to get these guys into school. No, in fact, it's a lot more difficult to get these guys into school. And I think we have to realize, even in the portal era, even in the NIL era, that there's still a school aspect to this in terms of grades. Like, these guys have to meet certain requirements. And it sounds like in this situation, unfortunately, those weren't met. He cost himself some money in the college ranks, and instead he will stay at his hometown in Perth, Australia, to play for the Wildcats out there. That's what we were told at the Scarlet and Black Insider. Multiple people told us that. I believe it was Austin Massey over there that actually had the news first from a couple of people he was talking to that, hey, the grades may not meet the certain requirements. So Texas Tech was the favorite to land him. And it sounded like if he were to play in college basketball in 2025, 2026, it would have been in Lubbock, Texas, okay? Florida was the main competition, and the Gators did not have a roster spot available, okay? They just didn't. So Texas Tech was the option for him when it came to college basketball, when it came down to the wire, and they were trying their hardest to get him in. Unfortunately, it just didn't seem like it was going to work out, so instead he stays back in Australia and will play for Perth. All right, now we pivot and we talk about where Texas Tech is in the recruitment of 4-star 2025 point guard Jalen Petty. There has been a lot of discussion on Texas Tech's backcourt right now in the sense of, you have Christian Anderson Jr., and that's really it in terms of the proven commodities there from a primary ball handler perspective. Would Jalen Petty be a proven ball handler? No, he's a freshman if he were to come in. But he does have a lot of traits, and you have Jeff Linder there. And we saw what he did with Christian Anderson Jr. I still think Christian Anderson Jr. is more talented than Jalen Petty, but Jalen Petty has a lot of the skill sets that Jeff Linder has proven to get the most out of when it comes to the guards that he developed. So you look at where Texas Tech is at right now in their backcourt, okay? It's Christian Anderson Jr., you've got Jazz Henderson, you've also got Nolan Groves, you've got Tyree Bryant, you've got Donovan Atwell. You feel pretty good about where you're at, although the only commodity you have in terms of a guy that you feel very, very comfortable with from either a star perspective or really just being a traditional point guard perspective is Christian Anderson Jr., right? I think that could change here in the not too distant future. There's multiple reports out there, and we've been talking about it here on the Red and Black Report for months now, that Jalen Petty looks like he is going to be a Red Raider, okay? It's more of a matter of when, not if at this point. It feels like, obviously things can change, but there were even a couple of reports, people were speculating over on the Scarlet and Black Insider, which good reason for you to go head on over there. There's a lot of people discussing things left, right, and center about Texas Tech men's basketball, so be sure to go to check that out. The link will be down in the comments below, where Jalen Petty was out in the 806. I also had somebody text me this, and I'll read it verbatim for you guys. What was sent to me in the sense of verbatim. This was it. Petty is coming. Pause a little bit, but also at the same time, hey, it sounds like he's going to be a Red Raider. And this would be pivotal for Texas Tech in the sense that you have a guy that is a high-level recruit, a 4-star point guard in the class of 2025, has proven that he can win at a high level up in the state of Washington. He was highly coveted in his recruitment process, initially committed to New Mexico, since then decommitted, went out to Stanford and committed, and then it was thought that he decommitted from Stanford to come to Texas Tech. Truth be told, I thought he would have committed months ago. I'm talking like at least 2 months ago. I thought this was going to happen in June, okay? Did not happen yet. We are now into August, right? But it sounds like we're getting down to the final period of, okay, with school starting here in just a couple of weeks, he's got to get ready to be on campus. And it sounds like Jalen Petty is really, really close to committing to being a Texas Tech Red Raider. Obviously, things can change, but from the intel we have here at the Red and Black Report and over at Scarlet and Black Insider, it sounds like Jalen Petty will be committing to Texas Tech here in the not too distant future. All right, so the big news for Texas Tech at this point, and again, on the Jalen Petty front, things can change, right? We've seen it left, right, and center. The perfect example is the person that we talked about early on in this video in Ben Henshall. It looked like he was destined to be a Red Raider, but things happen, whether that's on the school front, the NIL front, everything changes, right? The only way you know that these guys are 100% in and committed to your team is, well, if they actually, are on campus and at practice, right? So for me, it's something to monitor from the Jalen Petty front. It sounds like this could happen relatively quickly now that we're getting to the home stretch and really fall classes start here in the next couple of weeks. But we do have some, finality in terms of Ben Henshall. It is no more Winshall for those that are over on the Scarlet and Black Insider. Unfortunately, it is no shall, as he will stay out in Australia and play for his hometown team in the Perth Wildcats in the NBL, while the Red Raiders now pivot. They would love to have both Henshall and Petty, but it sounds like they'll get at least one of them as things stand right now, as Jalen Petty is the name to monitor for the Red Raiders on the recruiting front, a 2025 4-star point guard from Washington, a guy that led his team to a 3A state title up there in the state of Washington and was a Stanford and New Mexico commitment at one point in time in his recruitment process. Instead, now it sounds like he will play for Grant McCaslin out in the 806. And hopefully things don't change on that front, but it sounds like that's where we're headed as of right now. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. If you want 100% free Texas Tech men's basketball content, as the news drops, whether it's on the recruiting trail, the latest news, rumors, anything you need to know about your Texas Tech men's basketball team headed into a pivotal and exciting 2025-2026 season, this is the place for you. All you have to do to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans in the RBR squad is simply like the video and hit that subscribe button. All right, I'm RC Maxfield reminding you, as always, to stay safe in Recom Tech.